I just got to ask, obviously it's fight choreography, but were you guys actually full contact in a lot of places? Like, were you actually hitting each other at times, or was it all, because it looks really brutal on screen?
I would say it's a mixture of real contact and not real contact. You know, it's just a bunch of old tricks that a lot is inspired by 80s Hong Kong. You know, sometimes it's just camera placement, but sometimes, and these are my favorites, is like if you have the camera perfectly profiled and you have absolutely no choice but to hit the person. Obviously not full power, but you want to see the contact, and the rest is just acting, and that's, you know.
Very, very cool. So how, you mentioned this was a couple of short films to begin with. What was the process to actually bringing it to feature length?
It sucked. It was, like I tend to, some of my shorts tend to go a little too long, so this naturally, it wasn't a huge leap to make it feature length. And it was basically just kind of, it was difficult because like you almost have to kind of go all the way back to the script writing process to be like, okay, how do we maintain it making sense and kind of making sure we hit the runtime that we want. And so it was just kind of a combination of going through pre-production again, while in production and post-production, and then when we thought we were out of post-production, we just were right back into it. So I guess it's just typical like doing any feature.
And this was shot over a long period of time, bit by bit by bit, correct? Like Peter Jackson would have done with Bad Taste or something like that. How committed did the cast have to be to keep coming back in like little pieces or?
Very committed. You know, I don't know the exact numbers, but certain cast members, like it was like a year or two or even 3 had gone by, and I messaged them and I'm like, hey, we're doing a new pickup, or we're doing we need you to come in for ADR, just whatever, you know. And they were amazing. You know, I asked so much from them, and they really delivered for me. So I'm very thankful.
And there's a lot of gore effects in the film, which I'm assuming you're a horror movie fan.
Absolutely, horror is the reason why I got into filmmaking. So.
And you applied that to action to a degree. Who were your effects people, and how did you, like, there's some pretty convincing stabbings and things like that. So on zero budget, how did you end up pulling something like that off?
It was really, I'm glad a lot of it worked out because we used like the most primitive tricks. Like a lot of the blood there was like a few bits of VFX, but a lot of it, we did as much of it as practical as possible. And a lot of the blood, you know, like from the stabbings or the gunshots, it's all just sandwich bags. There's no kind of rigging or no kind of, it's literally just people with a sandwich bag in their hand just bursting it at the right moment. And it's really hit or miss. Sometimes it looks horrible and then we have to clean it all up and start again, but sometimes it's perfect. And so it's really hit or miss. But most of the effects, we just kind of did ourselves. For certain scenes, we were very lucky to have a special effects person help us out for some of the more chunkier bits. But for the most part, we just had to do a lot of it ourselves.
Very cool. And maybe we can go down the line and each cast member could say one thing that was memorable from the shoot, or not memorable at all. Pick your.
I guess for me it was acting because I'm not an actor at all, so it was like it was fun like doing it. You know? Yeah. We had to kind of fill in because we just didn't have enough people, right? So.
Can I make one comment? Yeah. Okay, so thank you for tolerating my acting. I was really, you know, in the beginning, there was 2 reasons why I consider this an ensemble film, but I mean, I'm technically, from a plot point of view, the protagonist, I guess, but the reason that I was in that position was because 2 reasons. One, we were originally, when it was not a feature, we were trying to really stay true. This was originally the 3rd of a trilogy. Stay true and kind of bring my character back. And also the second reason, more important one, is from a logistical point of view. I knew that I was going to be there every day of the shoot, and it was a lot easier to finish a movie and not rely on an actor to show up every time. So that was part of it. I just wanted to put that out there.
My favorite scene was the final fight scene on the beach. Yeah, I wish I would have sanctioned that. I didn't have anything to do with it. So.
Moving on down.
And I always get to play the blue collar dad, the nice guy. So it was nice to play a really rotten bastard.
My favorite scene was when I got killed. They drenched me in blood, and the shower in the back room was broken. Cold water only. So I went home on the subway with a bunch of blood on me, and like people like moved. People were like, oh. It was awkward, but it was all good.
It would have to be that beach scene. We showed up to that thing at what, like 5 a.m. in the morning or something like that, and Alice was all like, "Oh, I have a perfect spot. Like no one's gonna be there." And we got there, and like slowly, like people started showing up, and we're like, "Oh, excuse my language." My mom's like right there, but oh fuck. And by the end of it, we're just covered in blood. There's like people walking their dogs, and I just remember we were washing up like in the water, and there's literally a couple taking like their engagement photos. And he's in the water holding her like that, and Kyle and I are literally just like, sorry, man. Yeah.
I don't like to be repetitive, but I would have to say the final fight scene as well. I mean, like you said, we fought all day.
Yeah.
By the end of it, that wasn't acting. We were exhausted. This guy was in my mouth. There's not much more we could have done.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's freaking a lot of moments I could say, but I'll say one. I think the one that stands out is me, this guy, and this guy. Yeah, the Alex at the end. So the one scene where all of us are in, it's the most tense scene in the film, or acting-wise, but it was the one time that we literally couldn't stop laughing the entire time. It was like, and these two were going at, because these two like are just like they make each other laugh all the time. And it was my turn, and I was like, oh god, okay, here we go. I'm like, and it's just yeah, it was a rough go. That took 3 times as long as it should have taken, but it was pretty damn memorable. So, yeah.
So, question for Alex, we'll pass it on back down the line. You see this sometimes in Korean cinema and modern Hong Kong film, and not necessarily in American or Canadian action movies, but fighting dirty. A lot of your choreography is like whatever the quickest approach to taking someone down, whether it's biting an ankle or ripping a throat out or whatever you seem to use. So is that inspired by films from, say, Hong Kong? Or what may inspired you to choreograph it so that it's brutal, but also like you're kind of cheating a little?
Oh yeah, it's my influences are from everywhere, but I would say definitely I need to name The Raid 1 and 2. Actually, like this is how long it took to make the movie. The Raid had come out, I was writing this, and I had always wanted to do something that was kind of, in my opinion, a perfect marriage of complex choreography, very martial artsy, something that's not entirely realistic, but also combined with very brutal, like a lot of brutality that's very kind of accessible to an audience. And The Raid, I thought, captured that really well because it's very chopsaki, but it's also like, throats getting ripped out and knees getting smashed open and stuff. So when I saw The Raid 1 and 2, it really made me happy because I got to see an example of it being done really well. I'm like, okay, it's possible. And also John Wick. And I'm sure you know exactly which scene was inspired by John Wick, because in the script it was just shootout. But John Wick had come out, and we hadn't shot the scene yet, thank God. And I was like, oh, let's just do this. Because we'll be one of the first people to rip it off. Little did I know that 3 John Wick movies would come out before the scene had been shown. But it was a lot of fun. Definitely made it a lot more interesting than it would have been originally. Yeah.
All right, let's turn to the audience. We've got time for a few questions. Is there anybody who wants to raise their hand and put themselves on the spot? There's got to be one. Where? Oh, yep, there.
Was there a particular style of martial arts that you were using for the choreography?
Was there a particular style of martial arts that you were using?
Not necessarily. I mean, everyone kind of was left to create their own character. I mean, like I came up with a lot of the choreography, but also like a lot of people contributed to the choreography, and we were kind of more just looking at it from it's weird to say, but like a cinematic point of view of just kind of fight scene styles as opposed to fighting styles. But I'm actually glad someone asked that question, because the goal for that last fight scene was to feature every single martial art I can think of and every single type of martial art fight cinema. Like we have like some Tony Jaa Thai moments, we have like pro wrestling moments, we have a little bit Ip Man, and we have like old school 70s chopsaki, we have Cronenberg moves, we have like all sorts of things, and just kind of like I just kind of went all, I just put it all in the blender just for that beach scene.
Nice. There was somebody in the middle here, right there.
First off, team headshot. About the locations, I presented UT. It seems like you used that a little bit. Can you talk about your locations?
Talk a little bit about your locations and how you got them.
Okay, well, This movie was, again, shot on no money, so we really had to resort to a lot of guerrilla filmmaking. You know, there were locations that like I paid for and booked and got permission for, but a lot of the times we just had to just run and gun it. And I mean seriously run and gun it. For example, that beach scene, we shot that in one day. We literally from sunrise to sunset. If you pay attention, you can see the day go by. It'll be afternoon in the middle of the fight, and then be back to the sun on the horizon. But that was part of the difficulty. Was in fact, I remember saying this to you guys, and I'm going to say it in front of everyone here. If at a Q&A someone asked me what the most difficult thing about filming was, locations. Like if you took everything else and combined it, it wouldn't equal one of locations. So obviously in the future, you know, it'll be, well, hopefully easier because hopefully have funding and, you know, permits and all that. So that was definitely that was the biggest challenge.
All right, we have time for one more question, right there.
You clearly did a lot of your own stunts. What hurt the most?
What stunt hurt you the most?
Well, that's the easy one for me. So the beach fight, luckily no one got seriously injured or died, thank God. But I did get a pretty bad injury on the beach where I do what's called a Hong Kong twist. But every time we practice it, I got it perfect. But on the day, I under-rotated, and what happened was like I hit the sand. And the thing about falling on sand, it's not as nice as it sounds, because like sand is soft, but like it just absorbs everything. It doesn't give you anything back. You can't bounce off sand. And basically what happened was I landed on this shoulder and it got pulled, because I'm spinning. So it got pulled all the way to my other shoulder. And it's still, like I've just been rehabbing it, but that was my injury. But I know there's definitely some.
All right, well, let's hear that one and then.
Pass to Kyle, maybe? Kyle almost.
Hey, Kyle. Feel the burn.
Yeah, there's a part where a headshot slammed my face into the ground. I thought, you know, I'm gonna give it my all and throw myself down as hard as I can. I ended up scorpioning myself and kicking myself in the back of the head. I thought I broke my back. And it turns out that's not even the shot we used.
All right, we're out of time for questions, but let's give it up for the team and for guerrilla style, zero budget action cinema from Toronto. All right, thank you very much.